You know, if you're someone who eats meat, but you also really care about animal welfare and the planet, you've probably felt that tension, right? Well, today we're diving right into that exact conflict, exploring a path for what you might call the conscientious carnivore. And this is a moment so many of us can probably relate to. This quote from Michael Pollan just nails that uncomfortable feeling. You're trying to enjoy your food, but there's this little voice, this question in the back of your mind, challenging the very thing on your plate. It's a powerful and very real dilemma. Okay, so that really gets us to the heart of what we're talking about today. Is it even possible to be a meat eater with a conscience? Can you actually line up your values with your diet? We're going to explore that by looking at three different plates: the one most of us eat from now, one that's a big step in the right direction, and one that offers a pretty hopeful vision for the future. All right, first up, we've got to get our heads around the system that's dominant right now, what we'll call the first plate. And this is the world of industrial agriculture. It's a system built on a foundation of just mind-boggling scale and a relentless, almost ruthless pursuit of efficiency. Now, this is the argument you hear all the time, right? And look, on the surface, it makes sense. Healthier animals, better product. But the definition of healthy and happy in the system, it's often a world away from what you or I would recognize as a good life for an animal. Let's try to put that claim into perspective. Think about this number, 90,000. That's how many chickens can be processed in a single shift at one of the big plants. When you're operating at a scale that massive, the individual animal's well-being just kind of gets lost in the drive for pure, raw productivity and speed. In this slide, it just perfectly illustrates the cold, detached logic of it all. I mean, look at that first point. From a pure efficiency standpoint, it makes total sense to keep a cow inside so it doesn't waste calories walking around. And when you see soil as just dirt to hold up plants, yeah, it's logical to just pump it full of synthetic fertilizers. In this model, we forgot the value of things that actually worked, like living soil and diverse farms. Food just became another commodity on an assembly line. So, okay, what's the alternative then? This brings us to the second plate. This is about moving away from the factory model and back toward a system that actually values ecology. Man, this quote from James Rebanks, it just hits home, doesn't it? It gets to the heart of what we've lost. This push for industrial efficiency wasn't just about how we raise animals. It was about totally changing the countryside. We basically traded this incredible biodiversity for these huge single-crop fields, creating a sterile landscape, all in the name of progress. The second plate is all about trying to reclaim some of that lost value. And the whole idea behind this better plate, it's often called regenerative agriculture. The key word there is regenerative. It's not just about sustaining what's there, it's about actively making things better. The goal is to create a farm that works like a healthy natural ecosystem, one that enriches the soil, cleans the water, and supports a whole web of life, not just one animal or crop. But what's really cool is where this whole idea can take us. And that brings us to what you could call the third plate. This is the big vision, right? It's where the farm isn't just less bad for the environment, it's actually a positive force for ecological health, weaving everything together into one big symbiotic system. Okay, to make this real, check this out. It's like this incredible, intricate dance of symbiosis. At a place like Joel Salatin's polyphase farm, first the cows come through, grazing. They're basically the mowers and the fertilizers. Then, a few days later, the hens show up. They're the cleanup crew, scratching through the cow manure, eating fly larvae, spreading that fertilizer around, and of course, laying eggs. And finally, the sheep come through, and they're the targeted weed control, eating the plants the other animals ignored. And the key thing here is that this dance, it's not random. It's all designed around these core ecological principles. You see it here, right? Animals are brought back into the farm's natural cycles. Instead of bare dirt, you use cover crops as a kind of living mulch to protect the soil. And instead of one flat crop, you mimic nature by stacking layers of plants. It really all boils down to two things: building healthy soil and just embracing biodiversity. This insight from the natural farming pioneer Masanobu Fukuoka is just so important. The industrial model kind of sees nature as a problem you have to control and overcome, but the regenerative model, it understands that nature, when you let it do its thing, is an unbelievably abundant and fertile system. The whole goal is to work with that abundance, not fight against it. Okay, this all sounds amazing, right? But it brings up a huge, unavoidable question. If this way of farming is so much better, why isn't everybody doing it? And why does the meat from these farms cost so much more? let's get into the economics of it. So you walk into the grocery store, and this is what you see. That lower price for industrial meat, it's not magic. It's possible because of scale, efficiency, and something economists call externalized costs. Those are the real costs of pollution, of public health impacts that we all end up paying for, even if they aren't on the sticker price. And you gotta think about the farmers. I mean, for the ones trying to do things the right way, the pressure is just immense. They're fighting unpredictable weather, they're fighting federal policies that basically favor giant monocultures, and they're often buried in debt from buying all this expensive equipment. That old mantra, get big or get out, has pushed so many small family farms off the land. And this number? This is the result. In 2019 alone, family farm bankruptcies jumped by 24%. And that's not just a statistic, It represents a real crisis for rural communities and for the future of a better food system. It shows you just how fragile this whole alternative model can be inside our current economy. Which, of course, leads us to a really tough but really important question. When the better choice costs a whole lot more, does that mean that eating ethically is, well, only an option for the wealthy? It's a complicated problem of access and fairness that we just can't ignore. So, where does all this leave us? The conscientious carnivore? Well, the path forward might not be about finding some perfect, cheap answer, but about fundamentally changing our whole relationship with meat. This is the big shift in mindset right here. For the last few decades, we've been trained to see meat as a cheap, daily commodity, the centerpiece of pretty much every single meal. The alternative is to go back to an older way of thinking, viewing high-quality, ethically raised meat not as some cheap commodity, but as a special, celebratory food, something you savor less often, but with way more appreciation. And this is exactly where you get your power back. Because when you choose to buy less meat overall, you can often afford to pay the true cost for that better raised option. That money goes directly to support the very farmers who are rebuilding soil and biodiversity. It lowers your own environmental footprint and, maybe most importantly, it gives you a real, powerful way to line up your daily choices with your deepest values. I love this thought from Francis Moore Lappe. It's so powerful. The simple act of choosing what you put on your plate, it might feel small, but it's a start. It's an act of taking responsibility that can change your own awareness. And that is always the first step toward being part of a much, much bigger change. So I'm just going to leave you with this question to think about. We usually think of change in terms of politics and big policies. And yeah, those things are absolutely crucial. But every single day you have a choice. And maybe, just maybe, the most meaningful vote you can cast for the kind of world you want to live in, one with healthier soil, healthier animals, and healthier people, is with your fork.